Welcome to PSA. My name is Felix. If we haven't met yet, I would love to get to know you better. And just the fact that you're open to some personal development means that we already have something very important in common. If you're back, I want to thank you for the continued support. And whether you believe it or not, just your presence is making a difference. You're shifting the atmosphere in the direction of good. Please don't hesitate to click through and check out the welcome video and some of the other topical videos here. But for today, I want to talk about paralysis. When I was born, I had those braces like Forrest Gump on my legs. I had this type of hip dysplasia that one of the approaches to fix it was a pelvic harness treatment. My legs were dislodged from the correct hip placement and they were growing in the wrong directions. There was a lot of fear that I was never going to be able to walk. For 6 months of my life, I had these shackles on my legs constricting my movement from the waist all the way to my toes. It was like braces for your teeth, but on my lower body. The apparatus was removed occasionally to give me a bath, and slowly over the following months, thanks to my parents and the doctor's relentless efforts and a lot of faith, I started to get better. But my parents would have to kind of carry me and put me down like a tripod. I can joke about it now, but imagine the drama of it all. I can't even think of how frustrating it must have been for them. I had all these people believing in me, but I was paralyzed and I had no way to help them at all. As parents, I know the shift of concern that takes place in your life, because when Tanya and I got pregnant with Lion, I could never imagine something like this taking place. I used to lay on her belly and tell him stories, and I'd illustrate visions of this great future ahead of him. And Tanya would ask me, "Hey, what are you guys saying?" And I would look up at her and I'd be like, "Shh, this is our time, don't worry. I'm just talking to Lion about his future." As you would think, one would never cast a vision of seeing our kid paralyzed. In fact, before he was formed in his mother's womb, I had already named him Lion. For some of the obvious reasons, I was called Felix the cat, but I wanted to name him something bigger and better. I knew he was going to be greater. But considering how he's living now, sometimes I actually think maybe I should have called him Lamb. But that's another story. So can you imagine, after having your child and protecting him for so long, 9 months, your child's legs don't work? Well, luckily, my parents and the doctors believed otherwise. They had a great faith that they could fix my issue, but I was a baby, unaware of anything, but those who knew better were going to do everything they could in their power to make sure I got better. Spoiler alert, here I am, standing on those legs, and they work just fine. But what's not obvious is that this person who was once questioned whether I would be able to walk or not ever again became the #1 ranked amateur in the country, and then in 1990 turned professional skateboarding and would travel the world on those same legs. Does your family, friends, co-workers, community believe in you so greatly that it can free you from what has you paralyzed in your life? Can they lift you off the ground with their faith? Does their support challenge the status quo on your behalf? Or is it biased to a self-serving mission that has you stuck, not reaching your God-given potential? In Mark 2, 1-5, it says, "A few days later, when Jesus again entered Capernaum, the people heard that he had come, and they gathered in such large numbers that there was no room left, not even outside the door. As he preached the word to them, some men came bringing him a paralyzed man, carried by 4 of them. Since they could not get him to Jesus because of the crowd, they made an opening in the roof above Jesus by digging through it, and then lowered the mat the man was lying on. When Jesus saw their faith, he said to the paralyzed man, 'Son, your sins are forgiven.'" What is your mat? Is your mat the way you carry yourself? Is your mat inviting someone into a healthy space to help them make better choices? Is your mat your Instagram post? Your mat can be the vehicle to help the paralyzed person in your life get some help. The good news is we don't need to break through a roof nowadays to get someone to a healthy place. The breakthrough is we just need to create a path for them to do better. Even if it's this right here. Meeting online for just a little while can bring you some encouragement, and it can be the first step. And as crazy as it may sound, your vice can sometimes be the vehicle to salvation. As long as you're being honest and seeking help for it and sharing it with somebody else. We can't save anyone alone, but we can seed the salvation. The mat is the vehicle to get the person in this story to the feet of Jesus. Notice how in the verse it says, he saw their faith. The faith you and your friends have can carry someone like these 4 men carried that paralyzed man. As a once semi-paralyzed skateboarder, I was like, good looking out, Jesus, on forgiving him for his sins, but what about his legs? I know I had a lot of fun sitting and skateboarding. That sounds so funny. But this guy was still sitting on his mat. What we learn here is that Jesus is going to heal you from the inside first. The outside's going to work itself out. And just like he healed the sins of this paralyzed man first, you will need to believe it before you can achieve it. He heals the source, not the symptoms. If you keep ignoring the cut, you are just going to renew the wound. Don't let your symptoms pitch a tent where your Savior should have a home. Things work out when you surround yourself with the right people. People who care about you, believe in you, and have your best interest in mind. These men believed that they could get this paralyzed man to Jesus, and they were not going to let anything stop them from getting him there. Your faith can carry someone like these 4 men carried that paralyzed man. Are you ready to surrender and agree to let your community carry you? Sometimes you just need to sit at Jesus' feet for a little bit before you're ready to get up on your own. Later on in Mark 2:11 it says, I tell you, get up and take your mat and go home. He got up and took his mat and walked out in full view of them all. This amazed everyone, and they praised God, saying, we have never seen anything like this. Jesus told the man to pick up his mat and walk away. Not because he needed it, not because he would never use it again, not because you have to carry your bad past along with you. The mat was a reminder that I was once broken, but now I'm whole. I was once paralyzed, but now I'm free. I was once trapped on a mat, but I am now taking this mat to drag someone to freedom. You don't have to go through it to be saved from it. We have to grab the corner of our mat and believe we can save the next paralyzed man. As you read on, the people no longer called him the paralyzed man. They called him the healed man who was once paralyzed, because that's what Jesus does, and that's who he transformed him into. A true sign that you've encountered Jesus is when you are no longer paralyzed by what once held you down. The beauty is we're not labeled by who we once were in our lives, and we don't listen to voices that say otherwise. Even though we might wear designer labels on the outside, our brand comes from the inside. We are who God labels us, not mankind. But what about the homeowner? Are you ready to give up your home for the chance to help other people get free from what's paralyzing them, even if they have to cut a hole in your roof? Luckily for us, our little online community is bigger than that home that Jesus was in. And a simple share of this message or an invite to watch with you will always ensure that someone else can have a seat with us. But I know if some people came here and crashed this party or broke in through the roof, I wouldn't be too cool with it. But he had such a servant heart, he didn't even complain about the hole in the roof. How much are you willing to surrender and sacrifice on behalf of the kingdom or to help other people get better, to get more healthy? I quickly found out that the more I surrendered, the more power I actually had to give away. The more I served, the more I healed. But service looks different for all of us. We all have our mats. We all have a message, but our mats can be our message to the masses. Sometimes service can be just as simple as making a space available for someone. Is your community not just tolerating you, but actually supporting your dreams? Not just saying that they are believing greater for you, but actually playing an active part in making the greatest version of you become the reality that everyone sees? Are they holding up their four corners of the mat, dragging you towards your final destination? Are they giving you time, resources, loaning you equipment, space to create, connecting you with their contacts, extending your reach with their network? Are they helping you course correct in your favor first? How about we stop developing people for our personal goals and start pouring into them for their purpose in life, but it's gonna keep us all together anyway because we're on the same mission. The main reason most people don't get to their God-given potential is because they don't surround themselves with the right people. When we provide a service for someone, 2 or more people win. The people who get served and the person who's providing the service. When Tanya and I created this space that we call Allies, that was our business model. The idea was to bring people together and give them the support to turn their thoughts into a reality. Over the last 8 years, we've given away more time in our space than we've ever collected for it. And not just to our friends or strategic partners, but just to people who we thought could use a lift because we thought it was the right thing to do. We've all been called to give, not to collect. We believe that we could be better together, and although anyone who walked in these doors might have a different message, the mission was always going to be the same. That love would come first and that they would always leave with more. This space is our mat to the community for them to be lifted up. But it's not about us. This is just an illustration. What it is about is whoever you can help with your mat. Sometimes we are all the paralyzed man. We all get tired and can use a lift. And although someone may look like they've arrived, just know the journey goes on. Check on your strong friends. Check on the ones that are winning, not just the ones that are struggling. I know that when I'm down and I can't get up myself, I want to look at all 4 corners and know that there are people that are going to pick me up, that I can trust these people to have my best intentions in mind, that they believe in me more than I believe in myself, that when they put me down, it's not because they're tired, it's not because they are through with me, that it's not because someone better has come along to invest in, it is because I am at the feet of Jesus. It is because there is nothing better that they can do, and now it's in God's hands. Do you need some tear the roof off friends? Do you need a tear the roof off community? I promise I am not going to let go of my side of the mat until you are ready for me to do so. Let's arrive in style. Let's have a parade of support waiting for each other. Let's not just look out for what's best for us, but rather what can we do to help someone else move from the floor back onto their feet. I feel kind of naked. I never told anyone the story about my legs, and I've always had kind of like an awkward posture, a distinct style skating, but it never stopped me from believing that I could do better, and I want you to know that I believe you can too. So I just want to thank you again for joining us this week, and if anyone came to mind while you were listening to the message, please share it with them. When you love someone, you sacrifice for them. When you respect someone, they come first. The power is in us giving, not taking. So until next week, Let's love more, and I'll see you at the next PSA. I want to thank you again for joining us. This is our 10th video. Please don't hesitate to share with somebody else that might come to mind. Check out some of the other videos. Say, bye, Lion.
Bye, Lion.
You can't say bye to yourself, silly. Take care.